Rick Harrison spoke out in support of Trump Vance at a campaign event in Las Vegas, Nevada in 2024. Many of his fans were very excited and happy to see him in person, even those who didn't vote for his candidate. It makes sense why. It's not a surprise that people are worried about Rick and his family. There have been rumors about his health on social media for a while now. During his work, the man has been through a lot of bad things. A lot of them hurt too much for him. Not long ago, he had to deal with more terrible news. When things went wrong in his personal life, the co-founder and co-owner of Las Vegas's most famous pawn shop couldn't do anything. He had spent most of his life working hard to make the business grow. Let's talk about these terrible events and how Rick is doing right now. From a very young age, Rick had to deal with problems. Richard Kelvin Harrison was born on March 22, 1965, to Richard Benjamin Harrison and Joanne Rue Harrison. He was their third child. Sherry, Joseph, and Chris were his brothers. Rick was identified with epilepsy when he was 8 years old. He lived with the condition for the next 10 years. In the middle of that, he lost his sister Sherry. She had Down syndrome from birth and died when she was only 6 years old. Before Rick was born, his dad lived in San Diego, California with his family. He was in the U.S. Navy at the time. According to Rick, this move and the fact that he started having seizures at a young age meant that he couldn't do many things and often had to stay in bed for long amounts of time. Because of this, he became interested in reading, mostly a book series by John D. Fitzgerald called The Great Brain, which is about a young con artist named Tom D. Fitzgerald. Rick liked the figure a lot, and it made him like physics and history too. He was so interested in history that he thought he would have become a history teacher or professor if he hadn't chosen a different path. In San Diego, Rick went to Taft Middle School but quit in the 9th grade. After he graduated from high school, he sold fake Gucci bags and made $2,000 a week. By April 1981, when he was 16, his family had moved to Las Vegas, Nevada, because his parents' failed real estate business. He got pregnant with his lover Kim the next year. They were young, though, and had one of the worst tragedies of their lives when they lost their baby. They couldn't hold their first kid. After being together for a while, they got married in 1982. Their first child, Corey, was born the next year, and their second child, Adam, was born 2 years after that. But Rick and Kim broke up soon after Adam was born in 1985. Rick wasn't a single dad for very long. He began dating Tracy 9 months after his divorce. They dated for 8 months before getting married in 1986, which shows how quickly their relationship grew. Rick and Tracy were in charge of bringing Corey and Adam together. Rick was working at this time in his dad's small used gold and silver coin shop on Las Vegas Boulevard South to help support his family. His understanding of history was very important to the shop's success because he gave each item a story behind it. Rick would go out at night and do his job of taking back cars that people owed him. He didn't have to do this for long because after 5 years, the family moved their business to Fremont Street to a bigger building. But after 2 years, they had to move again because they lost their lease or something else. They finally found a great place to start up their business again. But Rick and his dad were about to make a choice that would forever change the story of their family. The two of them chose to turn their business into a pawn shop. It looked like they had to go through this process if they wanted to stay in the collection business. But there was a problem: they didn't meet the requirements for the pawn shop license in order to open. The requirement was that the amount of pawn licenses in Las Vegas was based on how many people lived there. So, more people had to move to Las Vegas for everyone, including the Harrison family, to be able to get a license. They were lucky that they didn't have to wait long for the city's population to hit the needed level. Once it did, they were able to get their license. The father and son started the gold and silver pawn shop right away at 713 Las Vegas Boulevard South, which is close to the Las Vegas Strip. At first, they mostly sold one-of-a-kind sports equipment and historical objects. But as time went on, jewelry became their main selling point. Their business with partners stayed busy and made money, and their Las Vegas stores became famous very fast. They loaned millions of dollars every year for years and got hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest. In 2006, they showed off their one-of-a-kind sports souvenirs with interesting stories, such as a Brock Williams Super Bowl ring from 2001. This made their story famous. Rick's work was helped a lot by his interests in physics and history. He and the shop were even on David Attell's show Insomniac in 2003. Rick began to do everything he could to get the company a reality TV deal. It had been almost 4 years of work, and no one was interested. That is, until Brent Montgomery and the rest of the team at Left Field Pictures thought of the same idea: a reality TV show about a pawn shop. They needed a cool place to film it. They were looking for a store run by a family when they found the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, which is less than 2 miles from the Las Vegas Strip. Rick and his dad were shocked. As the show was being made, it was decided that it would follow the daily life of the famous Gold and Silver Pawn Shop. So that viewers could see how real the whole thing was, experts would be brought on the show to help with authenticity and explain how Rick bought things that needed to be fixed up without knowing how much they would cost. At that point, the shop already had more than 1,000 different kinds of old and vintage things, and about 5,000 were always being pawned. The staff could always talk about something, whether it was the background of an item or its value. A small group of accepted customers were also allowed inside while the show was being filmed. It was shot right there in Las Vegas, and the first episode of Pawn Stars aired in July 2009. Because of the show, the Harrison family became very well known. A lot of fans gave the show good reviews and said they wanted more episodes, which helped it grow. In January 2011, Pawn Stars was the most watched show on the History Channel and the second most watched reality show, just behind Jersey Shore. Rick's book, License to Pawn, came out on June 7, 2011. The Golden, another book of his, made it to number 22 on the New York Times bestsellers list on June 26, 2011. At about the same time, Rick's second wife Tracy also left him in 2011. But like the first split, Rick asked Deanna Burdett to marry him the next year. She was also divorced. He got married to Deanna in Laguna Beach, California, and now has 3 stepdaughters. The Harrison family was pretty much famous. In fact, Rick, Corey, and Corey's friend Chumlee all had cameos in an episode of iCarly called I Lost My Head in Vegas. 4 days later, Rick played the owner of an antique shop in an episode of the TV show The Middle. He made a deal with Microtouch One, a men's shaving tool, in January 2014 for 1 year, and was in a TV ad for the brand that same year. After Pawn Stars, the History Channel showed a show called United Stuff of America, which was made with Pawn Stars. That same year, the creators of Pawn Stars started Pawnography, which later became a TV show on the History Channel. In it, Rick, Corey, and Chumlee compete against contestants to stop them from getting cash and items that aren't available at the gold and silver pawn shop. Even with these wins, Rick and his family went through a string of terrible events. Rick lost a very important person in his life when his father, Richard Harrison, also known as the Old Man from Pawn Stars, died at the age of 77 in June 2018. The news came from the shop, which said, "The team at Gold and Silver Pawn and the Pawn Stars family is grieving his loss." For his family, he was the best father, grandfather, and great-grandfather a person could have. As the sometimes grumpy, always caring, often funny, and voice of reason on the history TV show Pawn Stars, she is loved by many. Later, Rick posted on his Instagram account, which has over 245,000 followers, that his father had died, saying, "My dad passed away and Parkinson's disease was the main cause. Rick was very sad after his father died." As the head of the Harrison family, he felt the weight of his duty. He still liked the time he had spent with his dad, though, as this Instagram post shows. Our family, the staff at Gold and Silver Pawn, and all of his friends around the world will miss him very much. Having a really cool old man as a dad was a blessing. He was my hero. Also, the History Channel said, "We are deeply saddened by the death of our friend Richard the Old Man Harrison, who was a beloved member of the History and Pawn Stars family. We'll miss how wise and honest he was. During this hard time, our thoughts and prayers are with the Harrison family." The Harrison family and the rest of the world had to deal with the COVID-19 outbreak the next year. Like most companies, the event had a big impact on Rick's operations and caused him a lot of problems. At first, there were more clients at the start of the pandemic, but that didn't last long. Rick even talked about how COVID-19 had changed the pawn shop business in an interview with Fox News. He said that people only did the most important things and that pawn shops were not high on their list of responsibilities. When the pandemic hit in March 2020, Rick had to partly close the store because of the bad weather. Later, the company said that the tourist area would be closed for 30 days. Rick said in April 2020 that he thought the economy would get better in 6 months. That did not happen, unfortunately. Before, the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop made more than $1 million a year, but now it could only make $37,406. Rick set more favorable interest rates for things because he wanted to keep his business, and gave customers more time to get their things back because they knew many of them were having a hard time. 2020 kept giving Rick more problems to solve. At the same time that the COVID-19 pandemic hurt his business, he was still paying for his kids' schooling. Then, the unthinkable took place. According to court records, Deanna decided she wanted a divorce, which was his third split. It looked like they had grown apart so much that they could no longer be married. Rick said in the divorce suit that their ideas, tastes, and preferences have changed so much that they can't get along since they got married. Rick said later that he had moved on. His Instagram posts with pictures of him and his daughter clearly show that he still thinks of his stepchildren, the children of his ex-wife, as his own. He wrote father-daughter day off roading under one picture in another Instagram post. It was clear that Rick loved his stepdaughters when he said, "I got 3 great daughters out of it," referring to his failed marriage to Deanna. Even though things were hard, Rick got everything done with the help of his son Corey. In the following year, Rick married Amanda Palmer, his 4th wife, with the goal of making their life better together. But his problems kept happening. This time, someone in the family did it. Some of your friends have been sued by other friends, and you're not sure what went wrong. Fans were shocked when they learned that Rick's mother, Joanne Harrison, was fighting her son to take over the gold and silver pawn shop. In 2018, Joanne's husband, Rick's father, died. He left her 49% of the pawn shop. She said in her lawsuit that Rick never gave her enough financial records for the more than $500,000 in cash and silver that she thought her late husband had. She also said that her son had stopped giving her the regular $25,000 payments from the business that her late husband owned. The legal case was sent to the Nevada State Court. Joanne said Rick had broken the deal. He especially said that he made her sign over 51% of the pawn shop while she was still healing from a coma in the early 2000s. She told them that she wasn't sure what she was signing at the time. Fans started to dislike Rick after hearing this because many of them thought he cared a lot about his family. Everyone knows that it can be hard to run a family business, especially when money problems arise. Things will get tough between people like they were between Rick and his mother. Even more, she got a brief restraining order against him so that he couldn't sell any family property. The protection order also said Rick couldn't move or hide cash assets or do anything else that could hurt her chances of staying in the family business. The lawsuit also asked for damages that weren't stated, an inventory of all assets, and a court order that Rick couldn't use his mother's money or use a constructive trust to take control of her property. Rick said that he only knew about the protection order request from the news and that he had tried many times to call his mother but was unable to do so. He also said that she owned one of the companies being sued, which made him even more confused about the case. In answer to the lawsuit, he said the charges were false. In an interview that he thought other people were trying to get his 81-year-old mother to do something that would help them. His mother, in turn, was worried that while Rick was living a comfortable life as a famous person running the family business and finances, she was scared and didn't know if she would have enough money to pay for her personal and medical bills, which could add up to $15,000 a month because of her multiple health problems that needed care around the clock. The fight between the son and mother went on into 2024, but they had to put their differences aside because the Harrison family was hit by a terrible loss early that year. This was possibly one of the worst things that could happen to Rick as a parent. He went through the worst tragedy of his life when his son Adam died from having methamphetamine in his blood in January 2024. The Office of the Medical Examiner for Clark County said the death was an accident. Adam was only 39 years old. People told the police that Adam had died when they couldn't find him at his hotel on January 17th. It was the business owner who finally found him asleep, which is what made the police call. 2 days later, Rick posted a picture of himself and Adam at a restaurant on Instagram to say that his son had died. He wrote a note and added an emoji of a broken heart. A family spokeswoman, Laura Herlovich, said on January 22nd that Adam was said to have died from an overdose of fentanyl. "We are very sad about Adam's death. Please give us space while we grieve his death." A picture of Adam and his brother Corey Harrison as kids was posted on Corey's Instagram page. He wrote, "I'll always love you, Bubba," in his post. A lot of famous people, like Donald Trump Jr., sent Rick and his family their sympathy through his Instagram page. Because of this terrible event, Rick chose to remember his son's life by spreading information about how dangerous opioids are. He stressed how important it was to make more people aware of the fentanyl problem in the US. Fans felt a lot of sympathy for Rick, even though he was a very strong guy. Even though he kept fighting, it was clear that he had lost a part of himself. Adam, who has since died, didn't appear on Pawn Stars, but he did work at Gold and Silver Pawn before becoming a plumber. In the past, Corey had said that Adam didn't seem interested in being on the show. Many people are still sad about what happened to the Harrisons, but Rick thought it would be best to keep busy and interested in what's going on in business in the country. He is still involved in politics and backed Donald Trump for president and Daniel Ratimer for Nevada's 3rd Congressional District. Rick's fans knew he was interested in politics when, in 2022, he said he wanted to run for governor of Nevada. Even though that didn't happen, he did make a case for becoming a senator in 2024. He hasn't revealed plans to make that dream come true now that we're here. He has already been given the honorary title of Kentucky Colonel by the governor of Kentucky. He got this award during an episode of Pawn Stars Do America that was partly filmed at Locust Grove. Rick became a member of the Kentucky Colonels for real in June 2023 at their Grand Parlor. His good character makes it clear that he is eligible to run for any seat he wants in Nevada. As a fan, would you want him to? Putting politics aside, the other exciting news about Rick is that he has a new girlfriend named Angie Palushkin, who works in healthcare. Her Instagram account on March 26th showed some of the things she did with Rick. They went to the Grand Canyon in a helicopter, which was very lovely. Then, in June, there was a fancy date in Paris. It was shown on another Instagram post that Rick and Angie were having wine and taking pictures with Chef Frederic Anton at La Jeu Laverne in the Eiffel Tower. Angie was smiling at Rick with all her heart in the second shot, which was taken in front of some birthday candles. Great night with at Apollo Cannon 83, Rick wrote under the first set of pictures. The time is 2.01 in Paris, and the time at Apollo Cannon 83 is 29. It looked like Angie was having a great time in the pictures. While some fans didn't mind that she was a lot younger than Rick, others did. They thought he deserved some love, because he had been through so much suffering this year alone. Some people thought the age difference was weird and said he was dating someone too young, while others called Angie, who is smart and pretty, a cash digger. Rick has proven that he can handle fault. He has been through a lot and been through fire, so he will be fine. As of now, he is only partly retired and doesn't work full-time at the pawn shop. However, he did still appear in the Pawn Stars spin-off show Pawn Stars Do America. As of April 24, 2024, that spin-off's second season was over. There are rumors of a new season being made. Even though he is in trouble with the law with his mother, Rick spends important time with his grandchildren and family when he is not working. Even though Rick Harrison has had a lot of success, he has also been through a lot of personal tragedy. He has been through a lot of terrible things like losing family members, going through legal fights, and having personal problems. These problems have put his strength to the test, but he has kept going. He has been successful as a businessman and on reality TV, so it's not a surprise that many of his fans look up to him and believe he will always get through things, no matter what. He starts this new part of his life as he goes into semi-retirement. We can only hope that these days with his family and friends will be the best of his life.